What's up, folks? Justin Babin Jr. here, and welcome in to another edition of the Babin on the Bayou show. It is indeed Friday, January 23rd, 2026, officially episode 10 of the Babin on the Bayou show. I thank you folks so much again for tuning in. Let's get right into it. So, today we're going to conclude our post-portal position breakdown. We'll talk about the second part of the breakdown for the defensive side of the football, and then we'll be done. We're going to talk about the LSU secondary today, cornerback and safety. So let's get right into it. So at DB, at corner, guys, I'm really excited about the guys you have returning at corner. The duo you have returning in DJ Pickett and PJ Woodland. I'm excited for them to have another year under the tutelage of the great Corey Raymond. Especially when you talk about DJ Pickett, who was a former 5-star and the number one defensive back in the nation coming out of high school. I thought DJ Pickett had a magnificent 2025, his freshman year. I thought he played great. He played in all 13 games for the Tigers, had 3 interceptions, 6 passes broken up, and added a pair of sacks as well. Was named the National Defensive True Freshman of the Year, according to On3 in 2025. Look, when you talk about DJ Pickett, you're talking about a stud. He has very rare size, very great size at 6'5", which is rare for a corner to have that size, and he's able to extend. And really, I thought he had an excellent freshman year. I really did. And you're hoping as an LSU fan that DJ Pickett is the next truly great corner at Louisiana State University. I mean, DBU led by Corey Raymond, the architect. I always call him the architect of DBU, and I'm excited for DJ Pickett to become the heir apparent to Mansour Delane, who at LSU in 2025 was, in my opinion, the best corner in the country in 2025, and I'm excited for DJ Pickett to assume that role and be the heir apparent to Mansour Delane after a great freshman season. Again, National Defensive True Freshman of the Year, according to On3. And then as far as PJ Woodland, I don't think there's a guy who I don't think we saw more development from game to game from any person on LSU team than PJ Woodland. I thought from game to game, the development that we saw, the improvement that we saw throughout the season from PJ Woodland was great. I mean, he had 2 interceptions, 9 pass breakups, 11 deflections, which was a really good number, and then 41 total tackles, along with 1.5 tackles for loss. I felt as the season went on that PJ Woodland really stepped into his own and improved as the season went along, and really became a very solid contributor for the Tigers as 2025 went along. I'm excited to see those guys, man. Woodland and Pickett under the tutelage again of Raymond once again. So those are going to be your top 2 corners by far for 2026. But then you have a list of returnees that includes Jakeem Jackson, Michael Turner, and Aiden Anding. And then you brought in 3 freshmen in Havon Finney, Des Ellis, and Amari Peterson. Those are the 3 freshmen that you brought in this season. And then you brought in Traylon James, the transfer from Southern University. But look, obviously your top 2 are going to be Woodland and Pickett. I completely trust Corey Raymond. You really didn't do, outside of Traylon James, you really didn't pick up anything out of the transfer portal at corner because you felt good about all the guys you have. They're guys that Corey Raymond recruited to LSU. And when you talk about Corey Raymond, you're talking about a guy who is synonymous with DBU. I mean, look at one of the biggest mistakes that Brian Kelly made when he came here in 2022 was letting Corey Raymond leave and go to Florida for 2 years. You saw in 2023 when you had an absolutely terrible secondary how much it hurt you just 2 seasons after Corey Raymond left. I mean, and getting Raymond back, I thought that he did a great job. I thought the secondary had a great year in 2025, and I'm excited to see guys like mainly Pickett and Woodland continue to develop under the great Corey Raymond, the architect of DBU. All right. At safety, you have 2 likely returning starters as well, in Deshaun Spears and DeMarcus Cooley. When you're talking about Deshaun Spears, I feel like He played in certain dime packages for LSU in 2025. That was really his role. So he only played in 225 snaps in 13 games for LSU. So only about averaging about 17 snaps per game. But I thought when Spears was called upon, he played really, really well. And he was really, really exciting to watch. I mean, he had a breakout game against Florida when he had 2 picks off of DJ Lagway, returning one of those interceptions for a pick six. 53 tackles on the season, along with 2 sacks, along with those 2 interceptions. I'm really excited to see Deshaun Spears step into a bigger role because I thought when he was called upon in those dime packages in 2025, I thought he was really, really impressive, and he was one of the more exciting defenders to watch on this LSU team in 2025, and he's going to step into an even bigger role in 2026 as one of your starting safeties. The other starting safety, I assume, will be veteran Tamarcus Cooley, who's returning for another season after being the starting safety for LSU in 2025 opposite A.J. Halsey. Cooley's a veteran, plenty of starting time at NC State, was a starter for you alongside Halsey in 2025, had 70 total tackles, 2 interceptions, 2 pass breakups, and 4 pass deflections. So assume Spears and Cooley are going to be your top 2 at safety. And then besides them, I love the 2 additions that you made at safety out of the transfer portal in Boise State's Ty Benefield and then Fahim Delane from Ohio State. Of course, Fahim Delane, the younger brother of Mansour Delane. When you talk about Ty Benefield, I talked about it before. I feel like he could be one of your most impactful transfers of this past portal cycle. I mean, in 3 seasons as a Boise State Bronco, Benefield had over 230 tackles and 5 interceptions in 3 seasons at Boise State, including in 2025 when he was an all Mountain West Conference selection with 107 tackles on the season. Really like what Ty Benefield brings to this team. He kind of resembles coming over from another school what A.J. Halsey was. I mean, A.J. Halsey was a tackle machine and all Big 12 selection at Houston before he came to LSU. I kind of see the same thing for Ty Benefield. He racked up 230 plus tackles at Boise State. Feel like he can really help this defense in 2025. And then when you're talking about Fahim Delane, Delane played in 13 games as a true freshman for Ohio State this season, had 12 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. 3 years of eligibility remaining, in the 2025 recruiting cycle. Fahim Delane was the number 2 overall prospect out of the state of Maryland. He was a 4-star prospect out of Maryland, a top 10 safety nationally out of high school, and a top 100 player nationally overall coming out of high school. When you're talking about Fahim Delane, you're talking about a very aggressive, very violent, very physical safety who really loves hitting players at the point of attack. So you're talking about a guy who really brings that physicality to your team. So look, I love the depth you have at safety. You have 4 guys who I really think can really help you and contribute in 2026. And Cooley, Spears, Ty Benefield, and Fahim Delane. I could see Ty Benefield or Fahim Delane stepping into the star position, possibly playing at star, which is the position that Harold Perkins played for much of the year in 2025 for LSU. You also have guys behind the 4 that I just mentioned. You have returnees like CJ Jim Coyley and Jace Thomas, and then you brought in 2 freshmen, and Aiden Hall and Isaiah Washington as well. But I feel like at safety, you have a ton of depth with those 4 guys that I believe will all have a role carved out and contribute in this defense in 2026. And overall, at the secondary position, I feel really, really confident in, obviously, Corey Raymond, one of the best defensive back coaches in the entire country. I love what Jake Olson did. I love what Raymond Olson and Blake Baker did with his secondary in 2025. Because think about it. In 2023, one of the worst secondaries, one of the worst defenses, period, we've ever seen. in LSU history. And in 2 years, the secondary in 2 years improved to where they were a strength of this defense in 2025, a strength of this team in 2025, and had an impressive season. And I'm looking forward to what they do in 2026. Now, that is the conclusion of the post-portal breakdown position by position. I hope you folks have enjoyed that this week. Overall, magnificent portal haul for Lane Kiffin and LSU, the number one portal class in the entire country with the guys that you brought in on offense and defense. And I've talked about it before. I thought about leading into the portal. It's kind of like usually it's unrealistic in a coach's first year to be like it's playoff or bust. And I'm not saying that still may be unrealistic, who knows. But I think Kurt Cignetti changes things because in 2 seasons at Indiana, who's one of the worst FBS programs in history, in first season, Kurt Cignetti went 11-1, took them to the playoff when they lost to Notre Dame in the first round, and then they just had a 16-0 season, national champions in his second season there. So I think Cignetti shows that in the era of NIL and the transfer portal, if you have the right staff, if you bring in the right guys, you can win, and you can win quickly. It's no longer a 3 to 4 year process. You can win, and you can win quickly. And Lane Kiffin, one of the best coaches in the country, brings in one of the best portal hauls in the country, could do that, and Tiger fans are hoping he does that in 2026. Let me take the time to tell you now about our great, wonderful sponsors here at Daily at the Babin on the Bayou show. Babin on the Bayou Daily is brought to you by Shield Heating and Cooling. And I've talked about it before, but when you're talking about the team at Shield Heating and Cooling, you're talking about a team of experts with multiple decades of experience as experts in the AC industry. I love my audience. I love my fans. I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart more than you could ever know. I want to reward you for tuning into the show. So if you call the number today, 225-46-BAYOU, 225-46-BAYOU, BAYOU. You call the team at Shield Heating and Cooling today at that number. Tell them you heard about them from this show, from the Babin on the Bayou show. I'm giving away free AC system cleaning checks for every AC system in your home, whether you have one AC system in your home or 5 AC systems in your home. You call the team, the wonderful team, the best team in the business today at Shield Heating and Cooling at that number, 225-46-BAYOU, BAYOU. Call them, tell them you heard about them from this show, giving away free, completely free to you, no charge to you, free AC system cleaning checks for every AC system in your home, saving you money. I hope you'll take a part in this giveaway as a show of my thanks and gratitude towards you, towards my audience for tuning in to the first 2 weeks of this show. Again, that number is 225-46-BAYOU, and that's Shield Heating and Cooling, your local comfort defenders. And we greatly, greatly appreciate the team of experts there for being the title sponsors of the Babin on the Bayou show. All right, now I just wanted to add this real quick. Don't really have much of an update on Jordan Seaton. As far as I know, there's still talks between him and his camp and Miami, Oregon, and LSU. Obviously, we've talked about it before extensively, how big of a get it would be if LSU got Jordan Seaton. Maybe news comes out this weekend. If it does, we'll cover it on Monday's show. But Lane Kiffin did take the time on Thursday to visit with a few recruits from the 2027 class. So Kiffin traveled down to New Orleans to meet with the number one wide receiver in America for the 2027 class, in Easton Royal. Obviously, a big guy from Louisiana, top receiver in the country for 2027 that LSU and Lane Kiffin are now in the process of pushing hard for. He has committed to Texas, but LSU's looking to flip him, obviously. And then the Tigers also met with 2 other top 5 receivers in the state of Louisiana for the class of 2027 in Miguel Whitley and Raekwon Williams. So I wanted to throw those little tidbits out there. Recruiting never stops. The grind never stops for Lane Kiffin. He eats, sleeps, and breathes football, kind of like I talked about Jay Johnson eats, sleeps, and breathes baseball. It's so refreshing to have a guy who really really cares and really wants LSU football to return to national dominance and national superiority in a very quick time. All right, now let's take the time to touch on a dominant 98 to 54, 44-point win for LSU women's basketball in Kim Mulkey last night, Thursday night, on the road at Texas A&M. I thought few takeaways I had watching this game. It was absolutely phenomenal ball movement and a ton of selfless play by the Tigers. I mean, the Tigers had 22 assists on the night as a team, which was that's a lot of assists. Great ball movement. Malaysia Fulwiley led the way off the bench with 23 points for the Tigers, along with 5 steals and 4 assists. We've talked about the great defense and the great all-around player that Fulwiley has been. She led the team with 23 points last night. I mean, LSU's bench is one of the most productive in the country, and that continued on Thursday night. I mean, on a night when the Tigers put up 98 points on the board, their best 2 players probably in Flau'jae Johnson and Michaela Williams only totaled 10 of them combined. So being able to still put up 98 points when your best 2 players in Michaela Williams and Flau'jae Johnson only combined for 10, that is pretty impressive. Now, Michaela Williams, even though she only scored 4 points on the night, did have a career-high 9 assists in this game at Texas A&M. So, Michaela Williams was still able to find a way to have a very positive impact on the offense, even when it wasn't a very prolific night offensively for her. Besides Fulwiley, 4 other LSU players finished in double figures offensively. Grace Knox had an impressive 19 points. I thought Grace Knox was really good in this game. Amaya Joyner had 11, Jada Richard had 11, and Kate Koval had 15. The backcourt continues to stand out for this LSU team. I've talked about it. This team is led by, I'd say your top 4 are Michaela Williams, Flau'jae Johnson, Malaysia Fulwiley, and Jada Richard. And Jada Richard has really been kind of a revelation for me lately. She stood out in watching this team over SEC conference play. I mean, Jada Richard has put double-digit points up on the board in 5 of the 6 conference games that LSU has played so far. I really like the play of Jada Richard. I think she has a very impressive, very smooth jump shot, and I think she stood out to me lately. We kind of knew about Fulwiley, Williams, and Flau'jae Johnson, but I really like the high level of play that Jada Richard has shown lately. And look, LSU has one of the best offenses in terms of production in the country. We talked about it before, how in your first 2 games in SEC play, you got woefully out-rebounded by Kentucky, and you turned the ball over 20-plus times in the game on the road against Vanderbilt. But if LSU can find a way to limit the turnovers, if the turnover margin between the 2 teams can be even, if the amount of possessions between the 2 teams can be even, LSU has a tremendous shot to win the game every single night because they are one of the most productive and prolific offenses in the entire country. So a great win, a dominant win, winning by 44 points on the road. Now, Texas A&M isn't one of the best teams in the SEC. The Aggies were 1-4 in SEC play coming into this game, so they've been struggling lately. But the Tigers handled their business. I mean, they did what they're supposed to do against a team like Texas A&M, and they won by 44 points. The Tigers' next game is actually on Monday night at home in the PMAC against the Florida Gators on the SEC Network at 7 o'clock. Before we get out of here, I wanted to give my NFL playoff predictions. So, conference championship games this weekend, 2 games this weekend. The Patriots are favored by 4.5 points at the Denver Broncos this weekend. I'm taking New England to win and to cover. Obviously, the Bo Nix injury stinks. You know, we've talked about it before with Bo Nix being injured. Jarrett Stidham, I don't think he's thrown a pass in the regular season since 2023. And the Patriots have a defense that absolutely dominated and swarmed the Houston Texans and C.J. Stroud in the divisional round. So I'm taking the Pats to win and cover over the Broncos Sunday. I believe that game is at 2. And then the 5:30 game, the Rams at the Seattle Seahawks. I'm actually going to take the LA Rams to win this game outright, even though Seattle is favored by 2.5. Seattle is a very impressive team. They absolutely slaughtered the San Francisco 49ers 41-6 in the divisional round. But look, I mean, for the Rams, Matt Stafford's probably going to win the MVP, Most Valuable Player award in a couple of weeks. And I think Puka Nacua might just be the best non-quarterback offensive player in the entire league. I love Puka Nacua. He is absolutely electric. So I'm going to take the Pats and the Rams, Patriots and the Rams. That is my Super Bowl prediction. I think New England and LA will be facing off in the Super Bowl in San Francisco and Super Bowl 60 in a couple of weeks. But that is my NFL playoff prediction, and that concludes the second full week ever of the Babin on the Bayou show. I thank you folks so much for tuning in. This has been a blast. I've loved every minute of getting that I've got to spend with you fine folks over the past 2 weeks. Remember to like this video, share this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, tell your friends about the show. Really, we're just getting started, folks. We're just getting started. And I thank you fine folks for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, you and your family. God bless, go Tigers, and have a good one.